Hi guys, welcome to the Geotech lab. This is your lab 5, which is constant head permeability test. Objectives of today's lab is applying Darcy's law to find the permeability of the soil, to determine the void ratio and the hydraulic conductivity of the soils, and finally we are going to check whether the hydraulic conductivity is reasonable and is acceptable. So why is this experiment important? Why do we need to find hydraulic conductivity? Hydraulic conductivity tells the capacity of your soil to transport water. So this value is very important. For example, when you have a rainfall or when you are going to construct a slope or something, you need to know the hydraulic conductivity of the soil because you need to know how it's going to transport the water. So to find this, in 1856, a German hydraulic engineer named Henry Darcy, he found out an equation relating to the flow rate to the hydraulic conductivity. Let's see briefly the Darcy's law. So the Darcy's law relates the flow rate, that is the volume of the flow in a given time, to the hydraulic conductivity, to the hydraulic gradient, and also with the cross-sectional area of the flow. So what is hydraulic gradient? The hydraulic gradient is the total head difference divided by the length of the flow. From the original form of Darcy's laws, you can make hydraulic conductivity as a subject. So if you make it, hydraulic conductivity is equals to the flow rate, which is the total volume per unit time, divided by your hydraulic gradient, as well as is a total head difference or the total length of the flow, multiplied by the area of cross section, and finally you get an equation equating hydraulic conductivity to the volume of the flow into the length of the flow divided by the cross sectional area of the flow and divided by the head difference times in time. That's all with the objective 1. The second objective is calculating your void ratio. So for calculating the void ratio, you can actually use this equation from the geotechnical class. Like the void ratio is equals to the specific gravity of the soil multiplied by the unit weight of water divided by the unit weight of unit weight of soil minus 1. So you can assume a specific gravity of 2.65 for the sand that we are going to use for today's experiment. Let's get familiarized with the permeameter that we are going to use for today's experiment. So the long tube over here, this is called as the reservoir tube. So the reservoir tube comes with a bubble tube and also a tube and a clamp which can be used to control the vacuum or the air pressure. And at the bottom we have another tube with a clamp. You can actually control this one to control the water flow in and out of the reservoir tube. Then at the bottom of the reservoir tube we're going to have a specimen tube where we're going to fill the soil. So the dimensions of the your specimen tube pretty much denotes the dimension of the soil sample you're going to use for the calculation and also for the experiment. And we support the specimen tube at the bottom here, and you can see drain holes at the bottom of this one. And then you have perforated plates which also with perforated screens, so you can use these screens to just filter the soil not getting into the water. And you have rubber couplings there, so once we are going to connect it with the bottom of your specimen tube, so these rubber couplings used to connect it by giving a firm support. So these are pretty much the parts of your permeameter that you're going to use for today's lab. Before moving into the experiment, we need to get the initial measurements. So first of all, we need to get the diameter of the specimen tube. So you can use a vernier caliper to get a diameter of the specimen tube. It is better to get 2 or 3 readings so you can get the average of the readings. And then you have to get the height of the specimen tube. Similar to the diameter of the specimen tube, it's better to take 2 or 3 readings so you can get the average of the readings. Next, we are going to measure the inside diameter of the reservoir tube and the outside diameter of your bubble tube. Done with the dimensions, we are going to get the weight measurements. So first we are going to get the empty weight of your specimen tube and the bottom assembly. So as I said, there are some rubber couplings, so you can use them. So you can actually unscrew them so it can be easy to fit on the bottom assembly. So you have a perforated plate over here, and then you can tighten the screws. You have fixed the specimen tube with your bottom assembly, you can tighten the screws. Make sure the screws are tight well so that we don't have any leak. Now we have the bottom assembly fixed with your specimen tube, so we can get the empty weight of this assembly. Find the weight of the soil that we are using for this experiment. We are going to fill the specimen with sand. So we have to put this perforated paper at the bottom of the perforated plate. Once you have added the paper, then you can put the soil into the specimen tube. Let's add to the top of the specimen tube and just give a little force so that the soil is on the top, and then you can just balance the soil. So now you can carefully check the soil with the bottom assembly and the specimen tube, and we can measure the weight of the total setup. So once you get this weight, so you can deduct the mass that you already measure for the bottom assembly and the specimen tube. Then you will get what is the amount of soil that you have inside. So you have measured the weight. Now you can secure the sand by putting a perforated paper on the top, and then you can just loosen the screws in the rubber coupling so that we can fix it over here. Make sure to tighten it well, and then you can tighten them using the screwdriver. Measurement is to get the distance between your perforated plate and the top part of your rubber coupling, so that you can keep it on the top part, and then you can get the height. So make sure to get three readings so you can get the average of all the readings. Get the distance from the bottom of the perforated plate and the top of this rubber coupling. Then we can check the measurement of the distance from the bottom of reservoir tube to the distance above the bubble tube. So it's impossible to get the reading from here because it's hard to get the reading. So what we usually do is we unscrew this one, and you can see two black color couplings over here, which denotes the distance that is equal to the distance between the bottom of the reservoir tube and the bottom of the bubble tube. Now it's time to get both the reservoir tube and the specimen tube to get assembled. So you can get the reservoir tube and you can just put it on the top of your specimen tube, and then you can tighten the screws for it to have a firm support. Once the permeometer is assembled, now we can keep it in a water tank or a water bath. You keep it and center it, and then now you can start to fill it with water. Wait for the water to come on the top of the perforated plate. Once the water has come, then you can stop the water supply. Once the water reaches an equilibrium and there's no flows, now you can measure the height between the bottom of the rubber coupling and the top of the water surface. So you can use your vernier caliper and keep it on the bottom and on the top of the layer, and you can get the measurements at different points. Now we are going to open the lower clamp so that the water can get up. To make the water to rise up, we need to apply some pressure. So we are going to apply the vacuum pressure over here, and then we are going to open the clamp so that the vacuum pressure can be applied. So now let's apply some vacuum pressure. You can see the water rising. Stop applying the vacuum pressure when it is few inches from the thing, and then you can stop the upper clamp, and also you can close the lower clamp. So now we are going to remove the rubber stopper so that the water can flow through the soil which is in the soil specimen. So let's remove the rubber stopper. So I'm going to get my reading starting from 40 centimeter. So I'll be taking from when it reaches from 40 centimeter to 20 centimeter. So I'll be calculating the time it takes to go through that. You can see the water is flowing slowly, so it has already passed 32. So I'm recording the time, so I'll wait for the water to come to 20. Now we have all the data needed for finding your hydraulic conductivity. You can find the volume of the flow by multiplying the height of the specimen tube by the area of your specimen tube with using the diameter that you measured. And then you can find the length of the flow. So length of the flow is what we measured when the water was flowing. So that was like from 40 to 20 centimeter. We found what is the time taken for that. So we can find the time for traveling from 40 to 20 centimeter. And then you can find the area of the flow. And finally the hydraulic gradient. So let's see how to find the hydraulic gradient. Two conditions when you fill the water into the water bath. The water can go above the rubber coupling you have, or the water can go below the rubber coupling. So for those two cases, we have an equation to find the hydraulic gradient. So for example, if your specimen tube is here and your rubber coupling is here and the water is below your rubber coupling, then you measure the distance, measure the distance h3. So how we are going to calculate is, so we have the h1, that's the distance from your bubble tube and the bottom of your perforated tube. Then you have to subtract the height from your top of the rubber coupling to the perforated plate from the h1, and then you have to add the height from the water level to the rubber coupling. And the case 2 is when you have water above. So that's what we had in today's experiment. So if you have the water above your, if you have the water above your rubber coupling, so you can measure this h3. So what we can do is we can subtract h2 and h3 from this h1. Then you can find the hydraulic conductivity. So in Darcy's law, we have all the measurements we took. So we can put all the measurements into that equation, the hydraulic gradient and all the flow rate that we measured. Then finally we can get the hydraulic conductivity of the soil that we used. So finally what you had to do is you had to check whether the hydraulic conductivity that you measured is reasonable. So comparing with the manual, you can see whether the value that get is reasonable, because today we use sand, so the hydraulic conductivity should be higher.